Thank you all for joining us this evening for the December 4th, 2024 Monte Sereno Site and Architectural Commission regular meeting. Before the meeting is called to order, I would like to point out a few house rules to assist the commission, staff, and members of the public to successfully participate in the meeting. For today's meeting, Zoom is being used to allow public participation with the Site and Architectural Commission regular meeting. For those using Zoom to participate, there are two icons, chat and raise hand. Please use chat only to report technical issues such as being unable to hear a commission member speaking. Please use raise hand to be recognized by the chair and enabled to speak to the commission. Only attendees using the Zoom application can use the raise hand option to comment. Participants calling in from a telephone will only be able to listen and cannot provide feedback or public comment. Lastly, when we're not all in the same room, all votes in the meeting must be taken by roll call.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez Langarica. That I'd like to call to order the December 4th, 2024 meeting of the Monte Sereno Site and Architectural Commission. Ms. Perkins, would you like to proceed with the roll call for attendance, please?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Connolly,
Here.
Commissioner Evans,
Present.
Commissioner Srivastava,
Present.
Commissioner Tam,
Present.
and Chair Zeidler.
Present. Thank you. First, we'll begin with oral communications. It's a chance for members of the public to comment on anything not on the agenda. If you have anything not on the agenda you'd like to speak to, please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand if you're online. Does anyone have any matters they'd like to comment on? No.
No hands are raised.
Okay, we'll close public comment. Did we receive any written communications in advance of the meeting for anything not on the agenda?
No, nothing for items not on the agenda.
Okay. Close written communications, and then let's go on to reviewing the minutes from the last meeting. Did everyone have a chance to look at those?
Yeah,
Anyone have any questions or comments?
I move the adoption of the minutes.
Oh, and I forgot, any members of the public have comments on the minutes from the last meeting, either virtually or in chambers? No? Okay.
No hands are raised.
And then,
I still move.
okay, all right, excellent. We have a second? Okay, we proceed with the roll call.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Srivastava, approved, Commissioner Tam, Chair Zeidler.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. And then we'll move on to the public hearing. And Ms. Perkins, would you like to introduce the first item, please?
Yes, thank you. This is an application for a site development permit for a new two-story house at 17551 Blanchard Drive. The proposed house is approximately 4,460 square feet. And it does include an attached ADU that is approximately 392 square feet. The ADU is shown on the plans for reference, but is not subject to the discretionary review of the commission. The exterior materials of the house include stucco walls with cultured stone accents, black metal framed windows, and a combination of composition shingles for the roof, as well as standing seam metal roofing. The application does include a tree removal permit to remove a total of 10 trees at the site. The trees proposed for removal are either in poor condition or are located near the proposed house. The landscape plans include 13 replacement trees that to be planted on the site. And staff recommends approval of the project with the conditions included in the draft memorandum of decision. And I'm happy to answer any questions the commissioners might have.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the city planner?
So, I have questions that relate to the project summary form and some of the numbers in there, just to understand it. Do I ask it now or?
Sure.
So in going through this, I had a devil of a time trying to get to understand what are the square footage allowances and the like. So I'm just trying to understand what is submitted and some of the numbers. And so it looks to me, as I look at the summary, that it says basically it's 4,031 feet plus 392 for the ADU. Is that what we're talking about? Because if I go to page 15, I come up with very different numbers than that. So I don't quite understand.
What is page 15?
But I'm most concerned, I just want to try and understand the structural coverage. I mean, it looks like I guess we're right, are we right up against the limit? I don't know. I can't really.
So, hold on, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah.
So on the project summary form, on the cover sheet of the plans,
Yeah,
in the proposed square footage column, is the proposal.
Yep.
And, the impervious coverage is pretty much at the maximum,
yeah, and I got a question
about
about
12
that.
square feet.
Look at that.
But it does include, their impervious coverage calculations do include the potential for a future pool, and a
Right,
future court area, so
Right.
that's,
right.
you know,
Okay.
allowing for that, future uses.
We'll take that second, because I have questions about that same issue. But I'm trying to understand, and maybe it's just obviously, they've tried their best to maximize the use of the property. My question is, with the square footage of the house allowed based on our rules, or if you will, our guidelines, is the ADU then added to that? And then the two together make it under the limit?
So the ADU, is square footage that is allowed in addition to
The limit,
that's allowed in the main
right,
house.
so that's a 392 piece is kind of separate, and so the
Yes.
4,031 feet that they show here is what the,
So we do include in the maximum, area of the main house does include the garage square footage.
right,
So that's where the 4,480
okay.
comes from, first floor, second floor, and garage.
Okay, so that helps me. The second question is on the impervious side, and now I got very confused. So I apologize but as I look at page 15 of the application, 15 of the plans, it shows me that, let me get to 15. 15. It is, he says boldly.
While he looks for that, would the pavers be impervious? Do they need to be
So the, pavers are
impervious? Yeah.
set in the paver material itself is not, but they are set on, a permeable base. So like in sand and in concrete, and for that, type of installation, we count 50% of the total area towards the impervious coverage, so we get a discount on the impervious coverage for that.
That may help me understand that.
Additionally, the square footage of the ADU,
Yeah,
when it's less than 800, is not included in the impervious coverage.
right. But unless,
So
but
that's-
it's all within the envelope of the existing house, it's included, is that right? Even if it's, yeah, because it's within the footprint of the house in this case, in both cases, I guess today's, we have that, right? So it's still,
But we don't include, we don't include when the ADU is less than 800 square feet, it's not required to be included in the impervious coverage. I believe it is in this case, which also would bring them down a little bit more from the maximum allowed.
right. So my confusion came from, I think it's page 15, and it shows what proposed impervious area is 6751. And it goes through, and if I add those numbers up, that I see check marked here. And I don't include the pool, I say 1,000 in driveway, 274 in walkways, 311 in porch, 3155 in the house, and 956 in the patio, altogether 5696. If I add the pool, I get to 7366. And I don't, that's not 6751. So that's where I'm confused. And then the second
So
follow-up to that is, if we add the pool on top of that, we're now at 8822. Which has got to be over the limit.
So I'm not sure which plan sheet that is on, but The information in the project summary form includes the discount for the pavers, the 50% discount.
Okay.
That if it's
So
probably
the
not
driveway,
shown.
the driveway and around the pool and those kinds of things. I got you.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Um,
So I guess maybe my question is, and for all of these things, if the city and the engineers go through and this meets all of the requirements, the numbers I couldn't tie them out no matter how hard I tried. As I looked to the plans, I looked to our requirements, they just didn't foot. And so I would just ask that as a part of the review of the building permit, that one more pass is done on those to make sure they're what we think they are. And that's all.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that was my big question, I guess.
So a pool's not structural coverage, but it just counts toward the impervious coverage.
That is correct.
Yes. Right.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions before we open up to the public? Okay. And first, we generally ask if the applicant would like to speak in support of their project. If the applicant's in the audience, it's an option. If you would like to speak, you have 5 minutes to do so.
Hopefully I won't take 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm Ritesh Chopra, my wife Anju Chopra, the Payman and Aman, our architects over here. So I actually, we moved to this country around 20 years ago. We have been in the Bay Area all this time. And I grew up near the mountains. And it was always my dream to have a house which is, close to the mountains. And as our kids were growing up, so we have 2 kids, and of course, most important member of the family, our dog. So family of 5. As the kids were growing up, we had number of birthday parties, as all of us know. In the Vasona Park. And as we would go through the area, it was always a great place to be. And we used to talk that it's always our dream if we can have a house close to this neighborhood. If you walk around Vasona Park, it's just an amazing place in this Bay Area, if you think about it. So that's was our dream. So we are trying to make this as our dream project, dream house where we can enjoy, our kids can enjoy, our grandkids can enjoy. That's what our vision is when we are working with the Aman and Payman. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you for introducing yourself. You have any questions? Questions for the applicant? No? Okay. Would any members of the public like to speak in support of the project or against? And you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Oh, 3 minutes, thank you. My name is Mike Frangidakis. I'm also a commissioner, by the way, Santa Clara County Veterans Affairs Commissioner. For about 12 years, I'm termed out. I'm also a licensed and certified appraiser. ADUs and our standards are not counted as square footage across the board for lender purposes. But more importantly, I'm here tonight because I'm their next door neighbor. And I'm for the project. But I would like to ask them if possibly they can do something about a hedge with a little more privacy, because I think with the 2-story, we'll be looking up in their rooms and they'll be looking down in ours. I have some really tall cypress trees that really have helped in the past. I don't know if they want to do cypress or whatever. But there's 2 trees there that I don't think are going to be taken out. The big oak tree that's on my driveway there. And then there's another tree in the back. Those give really good privacy. But between the 2 houses, there's going to be no privacy. So my only concern is I'll work with the neighbors. They seem like very nice people. And we could figure something out. That's my only concern, but I think it's wonderful of putting brand new property in there. I've been there for 40 years. I'm probably gonna have the last of the Mohegans. My house was built in 1947, the same year as me. And I think what happened is I was gonna do the same thing, but my kids grew up and left, and now we don't need a big house. So that's, if I could work it out, or you could ask them to come up with something to do with a hedge of some kind, I think.
Do we
Yeah.
have an image we could put up to understand where the?
Yeah, I could- That would be good, because then I can point out what my concerns are.
Yeah, I think the page landscape is on the.
And by the way, I've seen the plans.
It's L1. There you go.
I'm sorry, what page?
L1 or page 12. You keep going. That actually shows one of them there, but the landscape plans probably.
Keep going, no.
We'll keep going down, yeah. A little bit better
There, it is, the color.
There you
Yeah, I think that's. I think
to. That shows the big tree that.
Yeah, so the big tree, it's a big oak tree, it's probably 200 years old or more, I don't know. It's really beautiful, and it adds really ambiance to our whole street.
It shades your house as well as, obviously for them as well, right? That's it.
Yeah, so this, I can point that out here.
Yeah.
So this would be my house right here.
Mhm.
My driveway runs along right in here. And we have windows on my house, this would be my living room. Their house would be looking directly into my house here. So my concern is that, we keep the big tree, is that the big tree?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also this tree in the back, it's also a big tree.
Oak tree.
And I think you're keeping those, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're fine with that, but I don't know, we have the architect here, what we can do about some privacy in here on my driveway.
Windows are.
So you know the windows on your side of the house, the second floor, they're bathroom windows, they're much higher windows, and they're good.
They're 5 to 6 feet.
5 feet 6 from
inches
the
from the floor,
floor.
for second floor.
But
Oh,
we
they're
can
not-
provide
They're not a
privacy.
regular window.
Oh, they're high
They're
windows.
high window.
Yeah,
Purposely.
Go that way, so I don't look in their bedrooms.
No.
yeah.
So
Got
it's the
it.
same way. It's a high window.
We can look at it,
This one, this page, right?
Yeah, it's on,
If you look
Page
at
22.
page 62, if you look.
So this is the window that's
Six
above the bed,
20.
that's their.
Is this their master bedroom here?
No, masters of bed.
Master's
So let's get the elevation.
Maybe the elevations.
Yeah, 22. That'll get you there. It'll show
Page
the,
6.2.
show the windows. There,
Yeah.
next one.
No, next one.
There,
Next
next one. That's it.
No, it's 5.
These should have the.
So the windows are up here,
Yes.
not these kind of windows.
No, and those are, we put the dimensions, so you could see
Yeah.
how, where they're looking at,
Right,
they're higher windows, and the oak tree would also screen most of it.
yeah, because you don't want to be looking down at my little old house, do you? I mean, it works both ways, I get that. Yeah, that's gonna be, I think that's gonna be good. But still, if you could put something there on that fence,
Yes,
that would help too.
yeah, we'll have the final landscape plan to share with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's great.
I would recommend, commissioners, that you approve this project.
We also have the pool on that side, so it's in your interest as well to. Right down a little screen for privacy. Great. Anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Anyone else online?
No hands are raised.
Okay, then let's bring it back to the commission for discussion. Anyone want to start?
Yeah, so I mean, my initial, I mean, it's a beautiful home, first of all. I think it will certainly help the neighborhood, compared to what was there. And, I think it's nicely designed. The questions or concerns that I have really relate to, it's fully, utilizing the property, and it feels a bit of a crunch. But if it passes all the rules that we have, then I'll sit down and behave. But I mean, to me, it seemed like the house was big, you know, was designed in a way, and then we added the ADU to get the further square footage that the ADU provided, which was, you know, call it 400 feet or thereabouts. And that is all in keeping with our guidelines. But it seems to me that it would be pretty easy to open a door where the desk is, and all of a sudden that's no longer an ADU, that's just another room. And how do we, is that something that we have to think about? Is that something we don't worry about? I know there's separate things in the REACH code that the ADU has to have its own heating system, and has to have its own water heater, all of those things. So that's gonna be a part of their overall design. And, there's also some fire code issues on more hours or a longer fire time or whatever it might be. But this is my first time that I've seen an attached ADU, and it seems like it's so tightly integrated into the house that if not for the desk, it would be a door, and then it's no longer an ADU. Is that right?
Correct, if there were an opening place, an internal access between the ADU and the main house, it would no longer comply
Right,
with these approved plans.
right. Okay.
So our process is we make sure through the inspections of the construction to the final inspection that, you know, the project is built according to the plans.
Uh-huh.
And then in the future, you know, similar to any code enforcement issue, they're usually addressed on a complaint basis.
Got it. Okay.
So is this a JADU?
It is an
It's a
ADU.
full ADU.
A lot of these homes are multi-generational.
Yeah, I mean,
You're gonna see that.
it's the first time I've seen the integration side, so that's why I was trying to understand why you know, I guess our rules state, or the state rules state that it has to have it can't have a door opening into the home. It has to, you have to go out around, I guess is the way.
Correct, and those are our local requirements.
Okay,
Some cities
Some
do
cities
allow the
do have
internal access.
uh-huh,
A lot of cities like us do not allow.
okay, I got you.
But it is up to each city.
Okay, so that'll be a part of what we approve, is we'll have all that stuff. And then again, I'm still concerned about the overall coverage. And I didn't do the math for the pavers versus the non, but if you had the pickleball court, there's nowhere for that water to go, and we get lots of, water.
It's not, we're not gonna have a pickleball court.
We removed
We
it.
removed it with the new landscape plan that we have, that we will provide. We're gonna forego that.
Okay. Does the landscape plan come back? Do we have to do that too? Don't we?
have to
It does not.
Does not come. back.
The proposed landscape plan with on the location of the trees.
Mhm.
As well as any additional conditions that the commission might want to add based on the comments tonight. Those items we would verify are installed as part of the building permit process.
Got it.
But generally, other hardscape changes that might happen between now and the building permit stage are just reviewed for compliance with the maximum impervious coverage limits.
Got it. And then I have one other little kind of, this is my pet issue, because I've gone through this a little bit. And I'd asked the neighbor to make sure that they're comfortable as well. The porta potty looks like it's sitting right on the corner of the property, which is right on his driveway. And if I had to drive past the porta potty for the next 2 years, it wouldn't be comfortable for me. I'd want to have it shielded in some way with a fence around it or somehow or other. At the same time, I know they have to be able to access it easily to pump it out and what have you, but I've seen it in places like Monterey. They have like a little mini fence they put around it, so you just have to see a big blue box sitting on the, sitting there.
Are you talking about during construction?
Yeah, so so they put,
I don't have a problem with that.
okay.
We're used to construction on our street,
That's good.
but thank you.
Sure. Other than that, I like the house, beautiful.
So just, the last comment that they are foregoing the pickleball court, the pickleball court would have counted towards the pervious like percentage, right? So that changes. Yeah.
Correct, if they don't install the pickleball court, the impervious coverage would be reduced. However, during the building plan check, oftentimes in the backyard, there may be additional patio area or other walkways that
Right.
we will verify that compliance at the building permit
review. So even with the pickleball court, it was within your, like, within the code.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, because the ADU is not counted. So,
Yeah.
okay. I think it's, yeah. Good. No, no problem.
Yeah, no further questions. Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Connolly.
Well, I like the plan, and I walked the property. But I have one question that is a pet peeve of mine, is that in this plan, I don't see anywhere where the garbage is going to be screened from the street. I drive down our street and almost everyone has garbage cans in the driveway all week long. And one day in the street. What is the provision in here for the garbage area? The garage is 21 by 21 by 21. That's really not deep enough. That's probably, and it's hardly wide enough to get two cars in there and a couple 96-yard dumpsters. And even be able to get around the garage. I thought that's tight.
Would the architect like to come up so we can hear you? I probably should have had people come up earlier too.
Hello, good evening. My name's Aman. I'm in Delay. I'm with, I work with Payman, Bay Area Design and Build. So if you have any questions, I can answer.
Well, that
Is
would
it
be
just for
great.
the garbage? Garbage cans are not typically, they're probably not going to park them in the garage. They'll probably on the side yard, which we do have quite a bit of setback there.
I'm looking
15
at the
feet.
side yard on your elevations and drawings.
We have a fence there.
There's a wooden fence.
No, we have wood fence. If you look into the site
Okay,
plan,
it's
we do have a wood
behind the
fence.
ground.
Behind the
Yes. If you look in the rendering, you could see the fence also, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a fence,
Yeah, 5 foot, 6 foot fence.
6 foot
Wood
fence.
fence, that's the 3 foot and better.
Because it wasn't distinguished.
Okay,
Um,
no, there will be a fence.
What I do like about it is, I think the lighting is consistent with what we've been trying to do, keeping the light out of neighbors' yards, keeping it confined to the subject
Mhm.
property. I think the roofing materials are good. I like the way they treated the composition roof and the metal roof. I think that's a little bit unique, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yes,
And there's one other thing I learned in looking at this, and I don't know if I'm right on this. I've been in them before, but I never knew they were called puja rooms.
it's a worship room
Yeah.
and they have to face a certain way.
How do you pronounce it, puja?
Yeah.
It's
That's like a pretty small cool.
temple in the house.
It's a third floor.
I've been in them and they're really neat. I should put one in mine, so maybe I could be a little holier. I like the plan and I'm in favor, right? Do you
Appreciate
take a
it.
suggestion of looking at an evergreen tree on the common fence that was brought up by Mr. Frank. And, I think that would be consistent with cooperating, which is what we're supposed to do around here,
Okay,
on the record and off the record.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. I think the home's very attractive. I love the natural stone on the front, you know, I appreciate the natural surroundings and I like it when homes have some of those natural materials too. And it's actually for a home that's quite a bit bigger than what's there now, the footprint's not that different, like the way that, the flags are and such. I don't think it'll be too bulky from the street or anything, even though it's larger. My questions were just a little about the landscaping because, the best picture of the front of the home just shows lawn, but then this one, you know, shows some trees and such. So I didn't know what LATNAG, what kind of tree that is. If you could just speak a little bit to the.
Yeah, there is a legend that shows the type of trees and that could change because we're working with the landscape architect. And so we'll give a more detailed plan, planting plan and irrigation plan that would show all that.
What they've got in there is some maples, some crepe myrtle,
Yeah,
GBB tree, and some kind of
there's a legend in there.
conifer.
Yeah.
Along
We do have
the
cycles on
back fence, I believe.
Yes,
And that probably could be repeated
on the left
on
side.
the other side.
So
to be
there's some
consistent.
different sides.
Yes.
That's
They've already made some provision on the back side that. The. Oh, you've got those plumerian bushes in
Mhm.
front of those, but like a lot of those are, there are about 5 or 6 of them are great myrtle. The ones across the street are.
Across the, yeah, on the,
Yeah.
And I
the
think
city
that's-
property.
I think that's very tasteful and consistent with the landscape, and they're very pretty a lot of the time of the year and not so pretty on some leaves.
Yeah, these days,
But they do have a lot of leaves. so
Yes.
Get a rake.
They seem to do well around here.
Yeah, they do.
You can't top them. They call that crepe murder. When you top them.
let it grow,
Yeah,
let them grow.
yeah. And okay, so I don't have any other questions, as long as there's some kind of decent sized trees at the front to soften. the
Yeah, they're all
structure.
24-inch that we're proposing,
Okay,
yes, minimum.
So the one tree in the very back, far back, I think it's a Monterey pine. It's in bad shape, it looked to me.
Mhm.
I assume that's coming out whether there's a pickleball court.
Yes, that's coming up, yes.
yeah, all of the trees were in bad shape, the ones they were moving except one that was in the footprint, so.
Yeah, the one that I saw that was nice and shields, again, the shade of the other house is fine. Everything else looks like it's in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, the oak is beautiful,
Mhm.
yeah.
You're lucky to have 4 oak trees.
Right, that, when we bought the property, she said, do not touch the oak trees if you can.
Yeah, and they're appropriate for the climate.
They are, yes.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Okay, so it sounds like, people are pretty supportive. Did we want to put in a condition about privacy screening or just leave it to their judgment?
No, I think privacy screening is appropriate. I think it's a 2-story sitting next to a 1-story, so. I mean, I don't know how that, I don't know how we follow up on that.
Might be out of order to speak. I forgot it.
Go for it. It's helpful. I
Good,
don't like
yeah,
it
yeah.
to be so
Sit there.
formal that people can't.
Better to do
communicate.
this now than.
While you're all here, I agree.
I forgot to bring one thing up, and I'm sure they've taken it into consideration, but there is a problem that I had on my property with my neighbor because they slope down and I sloped. On the other side, I sloped up and I had a drainage issue. I had to put drains in all across my back fence. Cause my water was going into the neighbor's yard. That's probably gonna happen to me because they're a little above me. And the water drains down. So I'm just wondering, have you taken that in consideration?
Yes,
Part of it.
can we have a civil-
drainage system.
There's gonna be a drainage system.
There's a driveway in the front where all the water is collected and it's brought to underground pipes.
Will it be on my side of the driveways?
The front, on the, well, not on the driveway, but away from your house. It's shown on we could walk you through the grading and drainage plan and if you want to talk to our civil engineer.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
would like to talk to that because that, like I say, I had that issue and I had to put in drains for my neighbor.
no, I think it's sheet C2, I believe it's out. Right?
So Perkins, so in recent years, isn't it true that each property kind of has to manage its own runoff? There are more stringent requirements than
That's why I
many
did it.
years ago. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We had the hydraulic calcs, like a report also provided with the submission.
It sounds like they've taken care of the issues.
They've done a great job across
Yeah.
the front of the house with the drainage and the pipes. The 40-inch pipe is.
Yeah, because I guess they want everything off drained on the property, so.
Okay, well, I will make a motion to approve, the project at 17551 Blanchard Drive as submitted. With the additional condition that there be some privacy screening added, along, I don't know, is that the south elevation? I don't know which.
West.
West?
That's west.
Okay, along the west then. Do I hear a second?
Sure, yes.
Okay, we have a second from Commissioner Evans. Ms. Perkins, could you proceed with a roll call vote, please?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Conley?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Srivastava?
Yes.
Commissioner Tam?
Yes.
Chair Zeidler?
Yes. Motion carries. Good luck with your project.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then, let's move on to the next item, please. Ms. Perkins, if you'd like to introduce that.
Yes, thank you. This is an application for a site development permit.
I look forward to having you as neighbors.
Thank you.
Thanks, commissioners.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
This application is also for a site development permit, in addition to an existing one-story house at 15830 San Benito Way. The proposed addition would include approximately 179 square feet at the first floor and a new second story with approximately 473 square feet. The proposed addition maintains much of the same exterior materials, including board and batten siding and a composition shingle roof at the second floor. The proposed materials do also include some standing seam metal at the first floor roof area and dark metal framed windows. There are no trees proposed for removal with this application. And the application does also include an ADU in the existing basement. And similar to the last project, this is shown on the plans for reference, but is not subject to this discretionary review of the commission. And staff recommends approval of the site development permit with the conditions included in the draft memorandum of decision. And that completes the staff report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Perkins?
The maximum amount of square footage excluding the ADU on this lot is what?
It is 3,000 square feet.
So maximum 3,000, and the house without the ADU is how many feet?
It is, get my calculator. Oops. I believe it's 2809. Let me just double check that.
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay.
So 980.
Yes, yeah, 2,809, and that does include, if you're looking on the project summary form on the cover page of the plans,
Mhm.
one thing that our code does require, you'll see a line near the floor area section that covered porches that are enclosed on 3 sides
Huh.
are included in your floor area.
Got
So
it.
if you have a recessed entry, so that's what the additional 20 square feet of this one is.
I got you. Okay. Good.
Any other questions?
The other question, what is our total height limit on the plate height of the house?
So we do not have a specific plate height limit. We do have an overall building height limit
Okay,
at the setback. So the required side yard setbacks are 6 feet. And at that setback, the overall building height can be 21 feet. And then it can increase an additional 1 foot in height for each additional 1 foot of setback, up to a maximum of 30 feet.
okay, and this house has a 30-foot plate height, as I saw it from the back.
So from the back includes the basement.
Right.
So we would,
So if I'm the neighbor behind them, which I don't know who that is, but if I'm the neighbor behind them, I'm looking at 3-story. Is that right?
yes.
Yeah.
But the grade goes down, so it's the side elevation steps down with the grade.
Right, yeah, overall, but
But a flat look from the back will look like,
yeah, from their basement floor, if you will, or ADU floor to the top of their house has got to be 35 feet or more.
is. I think we've got it here.
Which just seems super high. It was in my backyard. Somebody-
Nobody's wrong down.
you're behind them, they flatten out, I mean, it has to flatten out at some point, because it's.
Correct, and that does happen with walkout basements.
Yeah.
The section shows from the floor level of the basement to the top of the roof is a total of 28 feet 9 inches. The plate heights existing on the first floor is about 8 feet, and then the second story is also 8 feet.
Okay,
So they're a little
I thought I saw 30.
lower plate heights than we
Possible
see.
to get the back of the home up, to look at it.
It's
Clear elevation.
There,
page 14 of the PDF.
Frozen up here.
shows the elevation. Pretty solid 3 stories. I mean, the top is a little narrower. The walk is. I looked at it from the front, you know, from the street. Yeah, it's hard to picture when you're like, you
Yeah,
almost
so
have
there you
to
go. So
drive the other street to see it from.
That's a 10-foot draw.
yeah, so
Yes, and then if you could scroll down with Lindsay on this sheet,
yeah,
the section. You know, to the left is the front. And then it goes, you know, back to the right. And you can see the dashed line at the top is the 30-foot height limit. As the grade contours down.
so can you go back up the one just above it, that's the one that was. So when I looked at, so we're saying that's 20, so it's 26 to the top.
I think it was 28.9. Let me zoom in though, I don't know mine, our side where it is too.
26, 9, something like that. What is it?
I think it says 28, I think it says 28, but
Okay, 29.
right, but the elevation below is how the building height is measured.
The elevation below, meaning.
The side elevation,
This one.
the next one down on the sheet. If you could scroll down to
Oh, I
the,
see what you're saying.
sorry.
Mhm.
So this shows the contour of the grade, and then
Yeah.
the dash line at the top is the 30-foot roof height limit as it follows the grade.
Gotcha.
So yeah, as it flattens out in the back, so when we look straight back, it's close to the 30, but we would measure it this way.
I got you. Okay.
Would the back neighbor have been noticed?
Yes.
I don't know if there are trees in between or not.
I tried to get behind it, I couldn't see him around the other corner to try and understand it, I couldn't see the story poles. I couldn't make sense of it.
Okay, any other questions?
No, that was the only one I had.
Okay.
And again, this also follows the other integrate or attached ADU with separate reach codes attributed to their heating and water heater and that kind of stuff in the ADU, right? Gotcha. Okay.
Would the applicant like to speak to? Is there?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to listen to this. I think I could answer a lot of those questions that you were asking as well.
Can you introduce yourself? Are you the
Yeah,
owner?
I'm Ryan, I'm the owner. I just want to spend a couple of minutes about who we are and what we're trying to do here. So my wife and I, we have 3 young kids, 2 of who actually go to Dave's right now, for kindergarten and 2nd grader. So the reason we bought this house was, you know, to really raise our family. It's not to do anything else with it, just to have a family raise and grow up right near the schools, you know? So when we got together and we looked with Britt Rowe down in Los Gatos to look at what we're doing with this home to make it from a house to, you know, our home, we had 3 big design goals here. The first one was this home was built in the 50s. So we wanted to bring it up to sort of today's needs, today's goals. So one of them was mentioned earlier, like making that carport into a covered 2-car garage. You know, my kids like riding bikes, and I just don't want them to dash out with a bike out of the carport every day, you know? The master suite that's being put upstairs right now is, you know, today's world, we all work Zoom a lot of times. And with 3 young ones, you kind of need a private space to act professional from time to time, you know? My wife's a medical provider, so like she sees patients, and we do run into issues where the kids are like, mommy, so-and-so did this, you know? So that's why we wanted to put it away from everyone. That was one of our goals. Our second goal was really to keep within the footprint of this house. And yes, we could have probably pulled out from the backside into the balcony further, and, you know, have a wing instead of doing a second floor. But the whole idea behind it was we wanted to keep the same footprint. We purposely thought about keeping our master suite in the front of the house, so none of the windows actually look into any of the neighbors' houses. If you look at any of the windows on the second floor, those are on the staircase. So unless we're on a ladder doing this every day, or my kids are somehow growing to be Yao Ming sized, you know, they're not gonna be able to do so. So those were all things we considered, things to keep it private, keep it within its existing footprint. Just keeping the street the way it is, where we're not really encroaching on anyone's space. In terms of the backyard neighbor, we did talk to all the neighbors. From the backyard neighbor, our house is actually sloped down, and then they slope some more, so they have a slope onto their floor. So I was in their backyard, we were chatting, our kids go to school together, and from their house, if you take a look, you could pretty much only see our first and second floor. You don't see the basement at all.
Right.
So it's a 2-story home from where they see, and considering where we put the master in the front, it actually looks even shorter. That's probably why you also don't see a lot of story poles in there.
Thanks.
And then I think our third design goal was really just to elevate the curb appeal of the street a little. We're the only flat roof in that area, and last winter we had puddles inside the house. So the idea is like, maybe it's time to put in a pitch roof like most homes these days, and, you know, save the maintenance for ourselves and just bring up the overall curb appeal that, you know, the neighbors can enjoy as well. And in regards to the ADU, we have 3 young kids. Occasionally, it's nice to have, you know, maybe a live-in nanny or an au pair, or even grandparents to visit to help us out from time to time. And we know, you know, you kind of need your own private space from, you know, sometimes the grandparents or just someone who's watching the kids. And that's part of the reason why we're really putting that in, just to have help with our 3 kids.
Right.
Yeah, so,
And we like ADUs because it helps meet our housing requirements.
yes.
ADUs are a great solution. I mean, they work well, keep it, and make it part of your lifestyle. It's really helpful.
Mhm. So, thank you, guys. for your
Thank you.
time.
Any questions for the applicant? No? Okay, great. Anyone else from the public that would like to comment? Anyone have their hand raised online?
No hands are raised.
Okay, let's bring it back to the commission for discussion. Who would like to go first? Anybody?
Sure, I'll take a shot. I like the design, I like the house, it's pretty, I think that we've addressed the one issue that I was looking at, was just concerned about it being too high from the neighbor's perspective, but I guess, you know, that's not so much of an issue. So I'm good, I think it's, it'll help the street a lot. It's one of the properties that can use a little love, and I'm sure your neighbors will be supportive as well.
Commissioner Conley?
Well, I'm for the project. I like that neighborhood. Back in the early 70s, I bought a house on Vista Avenue. We lived there and remodeled it. Down at the corner of Poppy Lane, and very familiar with all that. I coached with some people who live on Bruce Avenue, and I think it's a nice house. It's a nice addition. It's going to upgrade that area. I think about maybe a year and a half ago, we approved the house on the corner, and that came out very nice. There's a lot of things going on there that are very appealing to the values that we like to protect in our community. So nicely done.
Thank you.
I'm for it.
I do have one other question, and it relates really to, because of this proximity to the school. Where are we on sidewalks in that area? I don't even know that I thought about it. It's kind of, yeah, that's the thing.
There are sidewalks on, Poppy. Take you down to the school. If you're gonna go to school, come down Bruce or Vista, and then there's
Yeah,
sidewalks.
because they're right on, you're on San Benito and Poppy, right?
San Benito and Poppy, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an easement.
There's an easement
for it. Yeah,
Probably
there's
your
no
Vista.
room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing, that's our,
It's unfortunate.
yeah, that's, yeah, pretty close to school.
Yeah,
But
people really have to drive slowly.
We're closer to the Bruce side.
yeah, I remember, okay.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a little staggered from your direct neighbor across, or you won't have your big trucks there at the same time. But yeah, it's definitely a neighborhood in transition, yeah.
That's
To
pretty
be
cool.
ladies of the.
I support the project. I think it's a great kind of, uplifting of this property, so better for the neighborhood and the neighbors. Thank you.
And I think the design is, it's very appealing, it's keeping within the same footprint, and I've seen the house before you purchased it, and it definitely needed an upgrade and facelift, and like you said, there's a lot of homes on Bruce and on the corner of Blanchard and Bruce, that's also, there's a lot of construction, I think it will just really elevate the neighborhood even more, so I'm definitely for it. Thank you.
I agree with all the prior comments. One thing I kind of wanted to see a little bit more was a little bit more color or, some modern farmhouses, they'll have like cedar wood or just something because it's pretty much, I know you can't always tell from the picture, but it looks like just two tones and no third color or anything to add interest. I don't know if anyone else thought it needed a little pop of something. Or if that's just me.
It didn't jump out at me.
No,
You're sensitive to that.
I am. Okay, well, if I'm in the minority on that, it's definitely overall a huge improvement. I think it'll be a really nice addition to the neighborhood. Okay, well, with that, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve this.
Excellent. Second, anybody?
Second.
Great. Sturgeon's, we have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Conley,
Yes,
Commissioner Evans,
Yes,
Commissioner Srivastava,
Yes.
Commissioner Tam,
Yes.
Chair Zeidler.
Yes, motion carries. Good luck with your project and thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we'll move on to new business, which Ms. Perkins, would you like to introduce it? And thank you for your patience in the back.
So this is an informational item, brought to the commission tonight. The city's wireless telecommunication ordinance regulates the installation of various types of facilities, including personal wireless facilities, which are generally monopole antennas, providing cell service, TV and radio antennas, satellite dishes, and ham radios. The city's current regulations are outdated as they do not comply with current federal regulations, which have required streamlining of the permitting review process for certain types of equipment. And additionally, the current ordinance does not address newer types of telecommunication facilities. So the attachment to the staff report does include some photographs of the different types of facilities that are regulated in the current ordinance and need to be included in our ordinance. This item is before the commission tonight as information to let you know that we are working on updating the ordinance and to receive any feedback that you may have tonight, as well as any other comments you might have over the next couple of months before we bring a draft ordinance back to you. And on the Zoom tonight, we do have our consultants who are helping us with this from M Group. We have Asher, Justin, and Alexandra, and they are available to answer any questions that you might have also. And that concludes the staff report. So if you have any comments or concerns about these different types of facilities or where they're located, how they look, or any questions, we wanted to let you know tonight that we are working on updating this ordinance. And certainly any feedback tonight, and like I said, over the next couple of months, any other things, you can always contact me.
So thank you. So the inventory of towers and such we have now, is there any anticipated change? What kind of drove reviewing this now?
So this actually started maybe a year and a half ago, when our previous city attorney had commented to us that if we were to receive such an application, we would have a hard time applying any standards to it with our current ordinance being so out of date. We have not received any inquiries from applicants wanting to install any of these types of facilities. So I don't anticipate any on the horizon. So this is really more of just sort of cleaning up in anticipation that we may have one in the future.
Who would apply? Would it be a phone carrier or?
Generally, it's either AT&T or Sprint or their consultants.
And so, go ahead.
So, the ordinance is outdated. I'm assuming that also, some of the infra here, telecom infra here that is established by these companies is potentially also outdated. So will they be required to upgrade them based on the new ordinance?
So I think I might defer that to Asher or Justin to confirm whether that's a possibility. Or,
I think give them permission.
okay,
Yeah, if you can unmute.
Yes, hi, this is Ashton Clark from M Group. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for having us today. So I believe the question was, will existing facilities need to be updated because of the updated ordinance? Is that correct?
That is correct. Is
Great.
there a
you.
compliance angle to it now?
Not necessarily. And my colleague Justin can add on if necessary, but what would drive updates would be updated cellular technology. That's really what's driving any updates to existing facilities more so than any design guidelines. And to Diana's point, the existing guidelines from 2000, from earlier do not necessarily, they don't talk about new developments because they weren't there 15 years ago. So it's more about new technology driving updates than the design guidelines themselves.
Are there limits on the strength of a signal? Like, I don't understand this area well, but I know people have different sensitivities about things being transmitted near their homes, and different opinions on whether that could be adverse to their health. Is there, like, if they ratcheted up these towers to twice the strength they are now, or 3 times, would we get notice? Would we get to vote on whether that's something we want? How does that work? And I don't know if Ms. Perkins knows the answer or the folks online.
I know that the federal regulations address all of the emissions from these types of towers. I don't know what the limits might be and what a local jurisdiction may be able to regulate. So maybe if Asher or Justin could help with that piece of it.
Hi, yes, this is Justin Chu from M Group. So to expand on that a little bit, as Diana mentioned, the FCC does regulate the strength of wireless signals essentially and what the safe limits are. The city is limited in what they could review. So if a provider does want to expand coverage or increase the power in these facilities, they would need to prepare a radio frequency and emissions report showing what the increase in power, change in facilities, what that would result in terms of what the emissions are compared to what the safe limits are established by the FCC. So the city doesn't have a lot of authority to make a decision based on what those safety limits are. They are only required to require applicants to submit these tests, which are prepared by engineers. And review to just ensure that the tests are done and are in compliance with the FCC standards.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question as it relates to, maybe it's just a personal question. We have worthless cell coverage in our area. And is there anything we can do that would be on behalf of the city of Monte Sereno citizens to be able to get good cell service? Is that a part of something we should be a part of? Is that something that I should just give up on? And we've
We
lived here
gotta
forever.
cut down the trees and then we'll have better coverage.
Well, I mean, I don't know what
I think it's the trees.
is, I mean, I don't know, but it's really, I mean, it's worthless. I literally can't do anything, I can't use a cell phone at home because they just don't have coverage. And I know that if I switch to Verizon, because they got an antenna at the church, maybe I can have a better chance.
So I think that was another angle to my question, that now that we are updating this, the ordinance, right? And it's it's updated infra. Will what is there to out of compliance, should that not also be upgraded to be compliant with this more modern infrastructure?
I would hope, yeah.
That's where I was trying to understand, like now it sounds like we will be creating a compliance gap where we could request, as a city, we could request these companies to meet the new guidelines, right?
So generally, whenever there are zoning code changes or other development standards that change, it may make existing facilities or existing sites out of compliance. But as long as those sites were permitted and have continued to operate legally, we generally can't require them to upgrade because we've changed our standards. We can require upgrades when there is any proposed alterations to a facility that's required. We could upgrade those, require upgrades if there are new standards for the elements that.
Are the current structures on public land, municipal land? Or private?
Private, there's one up at the church, up with people in the church, there's an antenna on that.
There's
one
one
in the
near that
church.
water, there's one near that water system on Moore, is that all the monitoring?
That's Los Gatos.
That's what it is.
There is one at the fire station on Highway 9, as well as two others on the others, actually on either side of Highway 9. I'm sorry, I take that back. On the opposite side from the fire station, there's two other cell sites. I believe one is a pole and one is antennas on top of a utility pole, the existing utility pole. And so the utility pole is in the public right of way, but it's in Caltrans public right of way along Highway 9.
Yes, that thing went up good, it's always a mess, they're always servicing.
I think that's the one at the fire station.
No, that's the one. That's
Oh, the other.
Just on the right up here.
Is it?
It looks god awful, but. I mean, maybe they could make it look like a tree instead of like a. I mean, I don't know if that's a part of something we should be involved in, but. I mean, it's not very pretty.
Correct, that is something that our updated regulations could include, is different types of.
That'd be good,
Yeah, I mean,
if they're going to add one. have
yeah, if you walk
one.
down there, if you walk past it, it just looks like industrial. It doesn't, I mean, I've seen them like make it look like a tree or whatever. Although it doesn't look like a great tree, it's still better than industrial.
Yeah, it's improvement. So if someone wants to add a strong antenna at their home or improve the wireless coverage for whatever reason, or someone's gonna pay them to allow it to be installed there. Are we then having a process where they have to come to city council and have that reviewed, or the city manager? Is that essentially what we're addressing?
Correct, what the review process would be for different types of facilities, as well as any aesthetic criterias, such as trying to disguise it as a tree.
Okay, so you are going to undertake that and then run it back through?
With the help of our end group consultant.
I got it, okay.
And then, yes, we will be bringing back a draft ordinance, next year for the commission to consider, and then to bring to the city council for a final decision.
Okay.
They're still there.
Yes, there's.
Don't leave.
So, is there any way it could include drones? Could we address drones, since we're already touching a ordinance about cell coverage and such? Because they can be quite a nuisance and a security hazard.
So, drones are regulated, differently. I believe this had come up within the past year, at a city council meeting, so I can follow up with the city attorney.
I think it'd be a
On that,
great
yeah.
opportunity because you know, there were all those break-ins on a street near mine. And the homeowners there said, we saw drones preceding the break-ins. And they felt like it was casing through drones. So I did a little research myself, just low sophistication research, but I think there are gated communities that have prohibited drones. So I don't know if Monte Sereno could do it or not, but let's at least take a look to see if it's something we could do.
Yes, we can definitely look into that.
Yeah, the realtors use them more often than not, whenever they're photographing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has a problem with that.
Well, we don't know.
If someone's monitoring people coming and going and what
Sure.
time they leave their garage, that's different.
You know, the police were here.
Police, yeah, they said they are using yesterday,
Yeah.
during the police
They
report.
got a drone specialist they hired last year in
Mhm.
Los Gatos. They talked about it last night.
Or, I mean, perhaps we could allow law enforcement to use them or have, you know, some sort of registry of approved drones or.
Yeah, I would be okay if my videographer, when he does, my listings to, we submit a request and let them know. During these hours, we're gonna have a drone around this property and potentially within a quarter-mile radius, just heads up, just so that, the. We can definitely know.
And then people understand, so it's not unnerving. Hey, what's
Right.
right?
I wanted to know, man on the microphone over there, talk about streaming, are these cell towers that we're talking about also into the streaming services?
Are there microphones enabled?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, this is Asher Cohen again. I believe it is mostly wireless, so cell phone services. Streaming would be over, it could be either over wireless or over internet, but I think would be, it depends is the short answer. But why internet facilities would be different. Justin, please step in if you have more to add.
Okay, sure thing. So it could include streaming if your streaming is through data. Of course, the wireless facilities do broadcast and transmit, data through the service providers. So like AT&T, Sprint, they all use data. We have data on our phone, so it could include these.
I've got 5 or 6 towers that rent from me. And all of them are going through right now, upgrading, and it's expensive to do, upgrading all the electronics inside of them to improve the broadcastability of it. And a lot of them, when I've talked to the guys putting in the stuff, they're talking a lot about the need for streaming and all these, the Fubos and all those that are coming on and trying to get through the internet or through whatever the electronics are in those things. It might be a good chance for if they come, they've got to get a building permit to upgrade. And when they do, that would be a good time to, I don't know how many people in this town have done it. But it would be a good time to get some enforcement on appearance and maintenance. And make sure that the services are maximized for some of the areas, because most of Africa has better cell reception than we've got in Monte Sereno. It's awful. So, thank you.
Should we,
Yes, so I just want to understand, what is our relationship with M consultants? Like, how is the city working with them?
So they are consultants who work for the city on a contractual basis for specific projects. So they are assisting us with this ordinance update currently and are also, we are starting to work with them to help us with the general plan update. Which will be bringing that information to you in the next couple months also.
Sounds big undertaking. Asher and Justin and Alexander, do you have any questions for us?
No, yeah, really appreciate your input tonight. As Anna said, we'll have Norris in front of you in 2025. And as she also intimated, you'll be seeing us a bit with the general plan update. So it's really nice to, yeah, hear from you all. And we're excited to get this in front of you in the next year.
Okay, so thank you. So there's no action required on this item, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
If we could just open a public hearing.
oh, yes.
Anybody?
Is anyone in the public interested in commenting on this item? Anyone online?
No hands are raised.
Okay, so we'll close that and there's no action required. Is there anything else on the agenda today?
There is not.
Okay, well, with that, I would like to close the December 4th, 2024 meeting of the Site and Architectural Commission at about 8:10. Thank you, everybody.